Some producers with limited land might find it difficult to maintain a cow-calf enterprise. But Nebraska Extension beef specialist Rick Rasby says dry lotting cows could be a viable option that allows a farmer or rancher to keep their animals. UNL has conducted research on the practice over the past few years. We talked about that with Rick at the ARDC near Meade Wednesday afternoon.
There's a lot of interest in dry lotting beef cows, and I would say probably more eastern Nebraska as compared to maybe further west, if you will. But we were getting questions in regards to how can I maintain my cow herd, especially after we've converted a lot of acres from pasture and forage ground over to crop ground a number of years ago. And so the idea was that how can I maintain a cow herd without any grazed resource out there?
What are the logistics for a producer that wants to do this on his or her operation?
I think really from our standpoint it's been fairly simple. But I think when you think about incorporating this kind of enterprise in your operation, one thing is that you have to have some space that you can put cows in a dry lot, and the other thing is you want to have enough room. So I think right now we're right at about 300 square foot per cow-calf pair, and then probably close to 3.5 to 4 foot of bunk space per cow-calf pair.
And are you talking about dry lotting 365 days a year?
We've done that, and it's worked out okay. But, I think as you think about Nebraska, especially eastern Nebraska, the question that we asked ourselves is, can you actually maintain a cow herd without pasture and build that around maybe dry lotting and crop residues? And so right now what we're looking at is actually dry lotting cows for so many months out of the year, and then look at the opportunity to graze corn residue.
Tell me about the diet other than that.
I think if, at least from our perspective, if you get into dry lotting cows, I think you have to buy into a limit-fed diet. And sometimes that might scare producers, but when I say limit-fed in this situation, that means that cows aren't being fed to their capacity, but what they're being fed will meet their requirements. And so that's important, because I think if you full feed them, I think there's some economics against that. And the other thing would be is that as you think about full feeding, you think about more bulky kinds of diets, and you probably have to feed more often as compared to limit-fed diets. So it boils down to economics, but the idea that I want to get across is that we meet their requirements.
And how are you handling the calf in these situations?
The calf, we actually have done some work, because I think we were getting the question, should I early wean the calf, or is it okay to leave the calf on the cow? And so we did some early weaning to look at the efficiency of early weaning versus cows that maintain their calf at their side up to about 205 days of age. And we found out that it was just as efficient to have that calf at that cow side during that time period as compared to early weaning. So if you don't have a place for that calf to go, if you're going to early wean, it's just as efficient to leave those pairs together. Remember, you got to have some bunk space, because interesting enough is that calf's going to come to the bunk at a fairly young age. And so that's the reason why we would say, probably 3.5 to 4 foot of bunk space, because that calf's going to come there on an early, on a limit-fed diet. It's going to be pretty competitive at the bunk, but that calf's going to eat out of that bunk.
Are there common hurdles that producers have faced, the ones that you're working with, that are moving or transitioning into this kind of operation?
The thing is that one is I think from a management standpoint, you really got to work with your veterinarian to make sure that you have the herd health up to snuff, and really concentrate probably on how you can eliminate scours, and then how you can eliminate or reduce respiratory in this kind of situation.
Rick recently wrote an article detailing his research on dry lotting cows. It can be found on UNL's beef website or on the Market Journal homepage.